Innovate and Caffeinate. I am Karen Tapp. I'm from Hancock Bank, and I'm so excited this morning to be here to introduce Eric Downs of Wildfire Pizza. He is a staple here in Madisonville, and if you haven't heard of him, I don't know where you've been. He started out in his garage where we would all line up in his driveway for pizza, to now he's a staple downtown in one of the prime spots here in Madisonville. What I'm really looking forward to hearing about from Eric is what inspired him to go from his idea or love of his pizza to his garage to downtown Madisonville, and for his success. And thinking of that, I also would like to know what's something that may have inspired you in your business to take a step forward. Something small, something big, just that one thing that it would have inspired you to do something or to be something, or just to move your business forward. For example, you know that I was a former business owner unsuccessfully, but still I became a business owner because my mother's best friend had said to her, maybe this is Karen's niche. And even though it wasn't, I've carried that throughout trying out different jobs and different positions and different passions, because I always felt like, Karen, your niche is out there. Your niche is out there. And from even finding the career that I felt good in, I was still able to take that farther to find my niche within that career. So drop a line, let us know what inspired you. What's an inspiration in your business career? But while you're thinking of that and while you're writing, take a few moments, hear Eric's story, and it's Innovate and Caffeinate. So that also means that we can find ways to collaborate, to share, to support, and to be a part of Eric's growing business and being a part of the Hopkins County business community. Eric, thanks so much for coming today. I can't wait to hear your story.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I want to let you know too that I too am an unsuccessful business owner, because I've been there many times. I've done a lot of things that didn't work, and we finally found one that did.
Well, that's what we want to hear about. Thank you everybody for tuning in today. If you have never seen an Innovate and Caffeinate episode before, then we're really excited to have you today. And what we do on Innovate and Caffeinate is that we are here to hear an entrepreneur's story, hear their journey, be inspired by what motivates them to keep pushing, and find out ways that we as a community and as other business owners can support them. So Eric, we are really excited to have you on today. And Karen kind of hit the nail on the head of, introducing you, of telling a little bitty snippet of your beginning story of how you started and kind of where you've landed now. So tell us a little bit about how you came up with Wildfire, what made you decide to start running your own restaurant, and then where you started with that.
Okay, so it's always been a dream of mine to own my own restaurant. Many years ago, when I was probably maybe 16, 17, somewhere around there, I actually worked for Peter and Laura, who owned the building that I currently occupy. So that's a pretty cool story, because I always kind of looked up to Peter, and he was a business owner in the restaurant industry, and kind of got a little passion there for that industry, which I've always enjoyed cooking and everything. So from that time, I've always been kind of interested in owning my own restaurant. I just didn't know how that path would come. And it's pretty surreal to be where we are, or where I am now, thinking about that.
So you started this business, you had restaurant experience already, knew you wanted to do something, and then you completely remodeled your garage into a commercial kitchen as a way to, were you doing this to just kind of test the waters and see, is this something that could make it, or did you kind of expect to stay there long term?
Yeah, I was kind of testing the waters, because I didn't have a lot of money or anything. It's not like I could just go down and get a building downtown, right? I mean, you have to have experience, you know, and you need to be, have a lot of capital, and which is something I didn't have. So I said, what can I do? I was working a job that I didn't care for too much. It was a nice job, one of the best jobs I've ever had as far as financially, but other than that, I didn't care for it. So I was thinking to myself, what can I do? You know, I want to spend more time with my family. It was the main thing for me. It's not about money, and it never has been. And if you're in it for money, you're probably in it for the wrong reasons. That's what I think. But so that was my motive, was how can I spend a little more time with my family, you know, have a little bit more free time and see them more, and have some more freedom. So I thought to myself, well, what can I do? You know, I can't go buy these buildings. I can't do anything like that. So I got a hold of Frank Wallace down at the city, the building inspector, Hopkins County building inspector. And I said, hey, Frank, you know, what can we do here? Are we allowed to do this? Which I was in Hopkins County, which helped a little bit, a little less regulations. You know, if you're in the city limits, you know, there's a little bit more regulations. So, but anyway, we were able to, with Frank's guidance and the health department, things like that, we kind of got that going. And I was working my other job at the same time. You know, we were renovating this garage. We put a floor in. I did all the work myself, more or less. You know, stuff I could do. We did that work. Me and the help of my family. We put a floor in. You know, we did everything we needed to do to make it legal, up to code. Yeah, and then we opened. We didn't open up right away, but you know, we had to test our recipes and things like that. I had to we actually built a wood-fired oven in there. Me and my wife did. We actually used a cob technique, which is like mud, straw, sand. Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work.
I remember I was working a different job than where I'm at now, and I remember sitting kind of in the break room having, you know, a snack or lunch one day, and one of the staff members saying, "Have you heard about this new Wildfire Pizza? A guy I know just started this place, you know, it's on Grapevine Road, blah, 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 you got to go." And then she said, his name is Eric Downs. And I thought, man, that name sounds really, I mean, I know an Eric Downs, but it's been like, I don't know, 20 years.
Yeah.
Probably since I've seen him. It's been a long time. And so the first time that Seth and I checked it out on Facebook and then actually went and picked up one, the biggest thing that I could see immediately, or for us, is that this is what we were missing. This is the kind of things that we had been wanting Madisonville to have for so long. Something that is still traditional, yet is modern. Lots of different toppings. And the biggest thing was that it was fresh. You could tell that the dough was homemade. You could tell that the ingredients were fresh. You know, you felt like you were going somewhere different. You know, it wasn't just fast food pizza. And that was the first thing we were like, oh yeah, this is it. This is the kind of thing that we've been wanting. And we were so excited for that. And that is something that I can tell from your Facebook page and all of your advertisements that it kind of Wildfire is about, is making sure that everything is fresh. What's your kind of motive behind that versus other places around?
Well, the motive behind that is, you know, I'm not really trying to compete with the fast food chains. I mean, they have their own thing and they do well, and they, there's nothing, I don't have anything against them or anything, but, you know, I just want to do it a little differently and a little more fresh. Like I said, we make our dough in-house from scratch, you know, flour, water, yeast, oil, and sugar, and nothing else, right? Just like with our peppers and onions, we cut those. Mushrooms, they don't come in cut, we cut them there. You know, our ingredients, like we use a all natural sausage with no fillers and things like that. There's just a lot of stuff like that. Try to use premium ingredients, so you know it's a difference and you can actually taste it. You know, we use a whole milk mozzarella. It's a premium cheese, so yeah, I think it tastes better. You know, like I said, nothing against any other pizza places, but I prefer our pizza. I like it. So. I do still eat it.
Well, that was going to be another question. After working there so long, do you still eat the pizza? And if you do, then I'd say that you're probably doing all right.
Oh yeah, I eat it quite often. Haven't got
So
burned
you
on it yet.
mentioned at the beginning that you have tried other things and you're having to learn kind of what success looks like for you, and a lot of it is probably trial and error. We have a lot of people who watch this who are in different phases of entrepreneurship. So some of them may be at the beginning stages of thinking of an idea and haven't executed yet. Others are, deep in the trenches right now trying to find what works, and others have been in business for years. But what advice would you give? What has worked well for you trying to figure out what works and having that mindset to just keep going?
I would say never give up on your dream, kind of keep it going, even if it's on the back burner, even if you have to be working at a gas station. I've worked many places. I can tell you a lot of places I've worked that were dead end jobs and different things. So I would just say, keep that dream alive, keep it in the back of your mind. I remember I bought an open sign maybe 10 years before I even opened Wildfire, just because I saw it at a yard sale and I thought to myself, well, maybe that could be an open sign one day for my business, so just keep that in mind. Another thing I will say too is it does take a lot of hard work. I mean, I'm kind of at a checkpoint in my life is what I feel like, okay, I've got Wildfire and it's like a checkpoint, but I don't feel like it's a finish point. I don't know where my future is, going to go. I mean, I did all this within maybe 4 years, maybe now. So you can go from a place where you're not happy or maybe where you don't want to be. And in 4 years, your whole life could be changed and be different. And I will say too, also, you want to make sure you have a product that people want, or, a service that people want and need. Make sure you have that first before you go and decide to do anything else. Are people going to want this? That's very important. Are people going to need this? I feel like that's very important as well before you just decide to take that leap of faith. Just because you like it and you want to do it doesn't always mean that it's going to be right. It's maybe in your area or where you are, you know what I mean? Maybe it's not a good idea, I wouldn't start a postal service in Madisonville, it just wouldn't make sense. So just make sure people want it. That's a big thing, I think.
Yeah, I think that's really, really good advice for people watching. So you started in your garage, you have now gone into, ironically, you worked at DeFabio's and now you are in that same building. So what was that transition like? Because once you got there, you've done a lot of different things from when you first started.
Yeah, that was a lot of hard
Tell us a little
work.
bit about.
Yeah, it was a lot of hard work, getting into that place. We had construction crews in there working, and I also helped. I worked in there during that time, helping them. I was always there, helping, doing that work. And like you said, things have changed. Yes, they are going to change. Constantly things are changing. We try to stay true to, everything that we can. I mean, I keep my ingredients fresh and things like that, but maybe we try something new. Maybe we try this. And, we're still only 3 years in, Wildfire Pizza. So it's not like we've got a game plan from Domino's, corporate bringing down, this is what you do. This is how you do it. 1, 2, 3, right? For us, it's more like a trial and error, hey, I know we did pizza pockets, for example, pizza pockets. We tried those, didn't really work. So we just tried. One thing too, I would tell people is stay, if you're going to do a restaurant, I would say, keep your menu small. Don't try to make 100 items, keep your menu small and focus on those items that work. And that's what we've been trying to do here lately. I had a lot of pastas and things, which I enjoy doing. I love doing pastas, and I will again in the future. But during the COVID, I don't know if this is a segue into COVID here or not, but during COVID, we've not seen a lot of foot traffic, so I've had to adjust my labor and things like that. So doing pastas and things is not really feasible at the moment, but I do believe we'll get back into that eventually. It's just, it's trial and error and finding things that work. And eventually, I feel like we'll have it in like set in stone concrete, which maybe not. We might always change a little bit, we'll keep our staples.
I think that's one of the biggest things that we hear from entrepreneurs who talk is that, no matter what kind of business you own, you have to be fluid. You have to be able to go with whatever changes. Of course, COVID is not anything that any person or business owner could have, adequately prepared for or expected, but being willing to change and adapt to what you need, what your staff needs, what your customer needs. So what has been the most challenging parts for you all during COVID?
During COVID, I would say in the beginning, it was actually kind of the opposite of what, everyone thought, like, doom and gloom for us anyway, because we were doing a lot of carry out and delivery. This is something we were already kind of used to, whereas someone like maybe a Green Steakhouse, maybe they weren't used to, carry out and delivery. They had to probably make a lot of changes and adjustments there. But for us, it wasn't so hard. And I feel like people in the very beginning, they were not going out to eat. So they were already familiar with, hey, let's get some pizza, in the very beginning, couple weeks. But then after that, it kind of did slow down a little bit. We've seen a little drop, I'd say maybe like 20%. So it's not been like terrible. We're still doing well and everything like that. But I would say now, the biggest problem is probably like finding help, I would say. Employment is always difficult for restaurants anyways. And during all this COVID stuff, I don't know whether it's maybe people are still kind of afraid to get out and work. If someone maybe has a health issue or something, they're not going to want to be a server, right? They're going to be kind of exposing themselves to a lot of people. So I would understand that. So that's kind of been the struggles there. But just trying to adjust everything, make sure you're following the guidelines. And that's been kind of difficult, the government, they want, and we just try to appease the government when we can.
Yeah, the constantly changing guidelines, or always watching for guidelines and then having to quickly adapt and implement, I would think that would be really difficult, especially with a staff. When you all went in and remodeled that building, I'm sure that, because it looks like a completely different place. You walk up and you still know where you're at, and different in the best kinds of way. And I love that there is still the table kind of in the front window, because that was kind of a signature thing at DeFabio's. You could always see that small table, and I love that there's still a table there. But that was a lot of work to go in and remodel and design. Did you have help from somebody helping to design the layout, or how did that go?
I kind of wish we did. Looking back on it, I kind of wish maybe I hired like an architect. These are things that you don't realize when you're first, doing these type of things. Maybe 10 years from now, if I did another building, I would say, let's think this out a little more thoroughly and try to figure out where we want things to be and how this is going to work. We had an idea, I had an idea in my mind, but once it's implemented, you might not be exactly what you need, once you realize, oh, this or that, different scenarios and things happening. But I'll tell you what, the back kitchen, like I said, you're always making adjustments. That kitchen's probably changed, 10 times. You'll move something, you'll find a different, better way. And that's one thing too, I would say, for business owners, is make sure you're making adjustments like when you need to. If something's not working, let's try this. Okay, maybe this works better. Okay, no, that doesn't work better. Let's try this. Oh, that does work better. So that's what we've done a lot. That's what I've done a lot at the Wildfire. But yeah, it was a lot of work going into that building and remodeling it.
How long did it take from the time that you acquired the building to opening day in that spot?
I believe it was around 3 months, I want to say. I think it was like 3 months or so. And we were still operating out of our garage on Grapevine during that time, because we couldn't just, not like I could just stop making money, we had to pay the bills, and which we also had new bills, we had a mortgage now on the new building. So that's something we had to do, about 3 months, I would say, though, if I'm thinking it was a blur, you know.
I'm sure. That's impressive, though. That's still moving really quickly and having that vision to go in, get the changes done, and get open. You personally, I'm sure you created most of these recipes and have designed the menu. What is your favorite thing on the menu?
My favorite thing on the menu, when we have it, we don't right now, but it's a chicken piccata. I do love that. But for right now, I would say pizza-wise, I like the meat lover pizza. You know, you can't go wrong there. And then also, I know a big hit with one of our best sellers is our cheese bread. You know, I hear a lot of times, we have the best cheesy bread in town. It's really good.
Yes, we're
We
big
use
cheese
we
bread
make a real
lovers.
garlic butter. The garlic butter we make is not a soybean oil. It's nothing. It's a stick of butter, and we use real garlic and we use salt. So it's really good.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
So you did this, part of the reason you said you did this too, and kind of changing career paths was to be able to spend more time with family. You've got kids, right?
Yep, I got a 5-year-old and almost 4-month-old now, 2 girls.
So what does your 5-year-old, what does she think about the family having a restaurant and being in that space?
She loves it. She doesn't really understand it. She doesn't understand she'll be working at Wildfire when she turns 15. No, I'm joking. Maybe, hopefully not.
Right?
But no, she loves it. She likes going in there. One of her favorite things, she always wants a Sprite with raspberry. So, and it's actually really good. But she gets in there and colors with the crayons and stuff like that. We have an upstairs there too. I might turn that into a daycare. Just hire a babysitter to come. That way, me and my wife can work more.
Right. Yeah, that would be
She does
also
it.
solving another COVID issue if you did that.
Yeah. She'll get up on the POS and pretend like she's taking orders and stuff. She has a good time there.
That's fun. And, that's part of what is so cool to me about entrepreneurship is the ability to share that with your family and have something together. But, you've already said you don't really know, you're still, even though you're a few years in, you're still in beginning stages of figuring out how you want this to go. With all COVID aside, being able to, have full capacity and do those things, what would be one of your next steps that you would like to see Wildfire take?
Well, it's always easy to say another restaurant, right? Do another one, right? You want to stay in the same. They say if you do one business, you kind of want, if you're doing like a restaurant business, you want to kind of stay in the same category, genre, right? Like you're going to want to go open up another restaurant, right? Not like you're going to go open a construction company because you already kind of know the restaurant industry. But I guess that would be the next step. And I don't know how far out that would be. That might be years from now. And but I guess that is the next step. But the hard part about that is letting go. You're letting go of some control, right? Like you have to have a whole nother building, maybe in another city, and you can't be there all the time, right? And that's really hard for me because I like to be in control, right? You like to be make sure things are done right. So I don't know how that would work. I would have to think hard and long about that. Just like I did before I opened Wildfire, it was a sleepless night. You have to quit your other job, right? I had that other job. It's like you have to make that decision. Okay, hey guys, I'm not going to be coming back to work and put my 2 weeks in because I'm actually doing this thing. So it'll be something to think about.
That's awesome though, to be able to for us as a community to be able to watch Wildfire grow. We've already seen it grow, and then to see, maybe even years from now, what comes next, whether for our community or a different community. But before we close out today, I guess the last question that we had, and Karen kind of touched on it at first, is actually we just had a question come in. Hold on. When you first started and you started in your garage, did you have expectations of this growing and being successful enough to be able to then have a downtown brick and mortar location?
I believe I did. Yeah. I think I was always just, I'm always thinking like the next step, like I said, when I've reached a checkpoint in my life, I feel like now I can take a breather, right? And before it was always kind of like, what's next? What's next? And it was always very stressful. I feel like at this point, I'm kind of able to just like focus on the business. And while it's still stressful as well, I'm just able to kind of slow down as far as not thinking of the future. Like, what do I got to do next? You know, what's next? What's next? So, yeah, I believe I always did know that I would be somewhere else eventually. I mean, my wife wasn't going to let cars pull in our driveway forever, you know.
Yeah, we might should have interviewed her and asked her what that part was like for her.
Yes, it was okay. You know, it wasn't terrible. The space was kind of an issue at times, but you know, it wasn't too bad. We knew eventually we would probably do something else, which, you know, you have to have some experience, like I said, before you can maybe get a loan or something like that to move to another location. You got to go to the bank and show them, hey, you know, this is working. Can you help us out, type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I was going to say a minute ago, and I kind of we had a question come in, so I wanted to get that out there. But, you know, Karen had kind of touched on what she is always most excited about is to hear what motivates you and drives you. So kind of our last question or last conversation topic for today is, you know, as an entrepreneur, what is the biggest motivation for you to keep pushing forward with your ideas?
Well, that's pretty easy. You know, your family, you know, that's, I don't think there is any other motivation worth, you know, if it's, like I said, if it's financial motivation, it's probably, you know, your heart's not in it, I don't feel like. So for me, my family, and I do want to give a shout out to my family. My wife's been very helpful in this endeavor. You know, she helps at the restaurant a lot, and I couldn't make it without her. My sister and my brothers have all helped me and worked there. And my brothers-in-law, I just have a lot of family that's helped me throughout this process. And so I want to say thanks to them too, for sure. But yeah, I feel like family is the only motivation. I mean, what else do we have to live for?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and chatting with us. And to all the people watching, if you have not been to Wildfire before, they are open for carry-out pickup. So, Eric, before you leave, tell us where Wildfire's at so we can hopefully flood the business with new customers.
Sure, yeah. 17 West Center Street, Madisonville, Kentucky. Yeah, right across the street from Crowded House.
All right, so go down, get a drink, get a pizza, get it to go if you need to, but go down and support another local business. All right, thank you, everybody.